everyone. I'm Shreya Shanker. First of all, I'd like to thank the team for giving me this wonderful opportunity and for letting me share my story. Before I begin, I have to confess that I personally am not somebody who likes to express a lot about herself and be vulnerable in front of people. So this definitely is going to be a completely new experience for me. But I love experiences, and that is exactly what I'm here to talk about. Experience is the best teacher of life. I like to quote a famous Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. We often underestimate the power of personal evolution. We grow each day. But do we ever realize that? No, we don't. In fact, it wasn't until the past few years that I started understanding and appreciating the power of personal evolution. Today, I am who I am only because of my parents. My father is a serving brigadier in the Indian Army, and my mother is a psychologist. Now, growing up in a military household is very different. It is extremely organized and disciplined, yet highly adventurous. Now, I know these words don't go by together, but trust me when I say this, I have had the most systematic fun in my childhood. So my father keeps getting posted every 2 years, which meant that every 2 years I had a new city, I was in a new home, new school, new friends, and a completely new experience. I started loving this process of change. Ready for the next adventure, never having to worry about seeing the naysayers again, just going with the flow and living in the moment. I enjoyed it so much that once in one of the cities, I changed my school twice. Currently, I'm living in Mumbai, and I've been living there for the past 8 years. I have changed 6 houses in 8 years. Overall, I've studied in 10 different schools. But thankfully, I did not end up changing any colleges, and I successfully graduated from one single college. What I love about change and new experiences is that every single time, it teaches you something about your personality. For me, from experiencing the beauty of Kashmir to learning dance forms like Bharatanatyam and Kathak in Tamil Nadu, from learning art and craft in Kolkata to developing an interest in golf in Manipur. By the way, I have to mention, this is one sport I am better at than my father. My army background gave me the opportunity, or in fact, afforded me the opportunity to traverse through the lengths and breadths of our beautiful country. I have literally traveled by road from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And that's because my parents would love to move out to a different city and drive down for the same. In fact, I would like to share an instance. We always used to go to a new city and start our road journey very early in the morning. And once we got extremely delayed, so our parents, both me and my sister, they dumped us in the car and commenced the journey. However, in our house, we had this unwritten rule that you can't let a day go by without taking a shower. So en route, in the middle of nowhere, we see a hand pump and a bunch of children taking a bath. So my parents had this brilliant idea to stop right there and give both of us a bath. So I think I can safely say that I have experienced something that I don't think anybody sitting in the audience over here would have experienced. But you know what I loved about my childhood, and my key takeaway from it was that I developed important life lessons, such as resilience, adaptability, open-mindedness, and it became very easy for me to form new connections wherever I went. I started becoming confident about myself, about the person I was growing into. But I was always nervous about that one thing in life, which was my dream. Since I was a little girl, I had this one dream to become a Miss India. I wanted to wear that crown on my head, to represent our country. I used to look up to Priyanka Chopra, Sushmita Sen. Well, we all have dreams. But let's face it, I mean, Not a lot of people just go ahead and pursue their dreams because they believe they're completely unattainable. I myself did not even feel that a simple girl from a simple family background would ever be able to go ahead and pursue it. My dream seemed way too far-fetched and not something that could become a reality for me. But one day, I witnessed these Campus Princess auditions. Now, these are the auditions that lead you in Miss India in a way. So I witnessed these auditions happening in my very own college. And suddenly I felt that, okay, Shreya, maybe your dream could become a reality. So all this while in my life, I was going with the flow. And for the first time, I started planning for something I had been yearning for a very long time. I thought I'd give myself 1 to 2 years of preparation. And I started getting excited thinking about how my dream could become a reality and how that would make me feel. Until I got that call. Now, you all must have heard it in movies or read in books that a call can change your life. Well, it certainly changed mine, and for the worse. I got that call and was told that my mother had been unconscious for several hours and was diagnosed with brain tumor. I froze in that moment. I couldn't think of anything. My dream wasn't even my focus or a point to think about becoming a reality. It was about my mother getting better. It was about not losing her. I rushed to her. I could only think about her, my father, and my younger sister. She had an emergency surgery, post which luckily she was saved by the grace of God. But she got left side paralysis and temporarily lost her speech. Now let me tell you, my mother is a very, very, very strong lady. And when she realized that she couldn't speak to us, she started scribbling on papers in order to communicate with us. And one day I was just going through the pages and her scribbles, and I was trying to make out this one sentence, and there were these words that caught my attention. She had written, Shreya and Miss India. That was a moment of clarity for me. I zoomed out and tried to look at my life, and it got 3 things to my notice. First, my mother, who had been going through so much, was already planning our future and encouraging us to go for it. Second, my father, who was a big pillar of support for us all, was taking care of his wife, playing both roles for both his daughters, encouraging us to follow our heart while serving the country. And third, my dream was coming back to me as an indication that this was something that had to become a reality. So then, I acted upon this sign and immediately went for my Campus Princess auditions. Much to my disappointment, I had applied 4 times from different campuses, but each time I went to the top 5 but couldn't make it. I didn't win. I was told that I wasn't prepared or ready and should come back much later. But you know, I couldn't feel that in my gut. I had to try it at that time. So instead, I went for the direct city auditions. Now, if you remember, I mentioned at the start that I learned every single thing from a new place. Every posting had something new to offer. Little did I know that every aspect of me and everything that I was made of would one day help me in not just representing my city, but my country at large. It would help me in clearing so many rounds. It would help me in competing with millions of girls, and in my very first attempt, I would end up winning Femina Miss India United Continents 2019. That was the moment I realized that all these years of adventures and experiences is what actually shaped me and evolved me into the person that I was today. It was my parents' upbringing all throughout that had already prepared me to be the best version of myself and to be confident in my own skin. I realized that, whenever we feel that we're not ready for something is precisely when we should start trying. Because waiting for the right moment, the perfect moment, is never going to happen. You're never going to be prepared for something, fully prepared for something in life. And if you keep waiting, I feel you'll just miss your chance entirely. I also learned that you must not get shaken up or be overwhelmed by repeated failures. You should definitely take a leap of faith, believe in yourself, and just go for it. And lastly, of course, that a mother's instincts are never wrong, for sure. Now I was entering the next chapter of my life, the chapter which changed my life completely. After winning the coveted title, my parents, my family, my friends, every single person was overjoyed. They were so happy, and they kept telling me that this is such a big achievement. And there are millions of girls who keep trying every single year. Not a lot of them get to achieve it, and you got to fulfill your dreams. But I wasn't happy. You see, this was ideally the moment in my life that should have been the happiest. But I was instead having an out-of-body experience. You see, I always wanted to go for Miss World. But instead, I was going for Miss United Continents. Still, I should have been happy. I should have been thrilled. But I wasn't. I was trying so hard to be happy, but somehow I just couldn't feel it. All my life, I was going with the flow, but this was the first time I couldn't even feel my own presence. Be it giving interviews about going for my international pageant or being trained for it, I was just moving around like a robo. And there were words of joy coming out of my mouth, but instead, inside, I was completely blank. I was not living my moment at that time. And then, I went for my international pageant, Miss United Continents, in Ecuador, South America. And now, a new city, a new country, a new language, new friends, and a completely new experience. And I started feeling myself again. I started getting back into my own skin. I understood and started appreciating about the big achievement, and I was so grateful. You know, that moment makes you feel so proud when you're called and remembered by the name India. When you raise your flag in a foreign land with pride, makes you feel so happy, and that is exactly what I had truly dreamed of. And then I was happy. I was feeling myself. Now when I look back, I could comprehend that I was just a young girl who was being extremely hard on herself. My father always said that, you should always give 100% in whatever you do in life. And if you don't, just don't go for it. So I started thinking that just because I did not get exactly what I had aimed for, it wasn't an achievement, and I went into a shell. I know a lot of competitive people out here would be able to relate to what I'm trying to say. But I was so wrong. I did give my 100%, and I did come a long, long way. So when I say that winning Femina Miss India changed my life completely, I don't mean to point out the glitz and glamour, but what I mean is that it transformed me into the person that I am today. I started accepting and valuing every single aspect of my life. I became completely self-aware. I told myself that I'll never be hard on myself and go back to living in the moment. So when people say that you should be confident and be yourself, I think what they mean is that first, if you completely accept every single aspect of your life. Second, if you're completely self-aware. Third, when you take a moment and realize how far you've come and what all you have done with yourself, you'll be so confident about yourself that there is nothing in the world that could ever break you from achieving what you want in life. I would simply like to end by quoting one of my favorite authors, Paulo Coelho. People never learn something by being told. They have to find it out for themselves. Thank you so much.